Aloha, everybody, and welcome to this episode of Faith and Family First. I'm your host, Eva Andrade, with my co-host, Marcus Oshiro. And today we're going to try and have a conversation regarding gambling and why we really believe the faith-based community needs to stand up and stop gambling from coming into the state of Hawaii. So let's chat about that. Marcus.
Yes.
Are you gambling right there under the table?
No, I'm not. I'm just keeping my hands warm here. But
do you go to Vegas? I mean, I want full transparency. Have you gone to Vegas?
I've gone to Vegas. The first time I went there, I thought, my gosh, this is someplace crazy. Oh, I had fun, though. But I haven't been back in over 15 years. I hope to go back there one day, but not because I want to play the slot machines or roll the dice. I want to go to Trader Joe's.
Okay, so when I first got hired at Hawaii Family Farm, I had never gambled before, never gone to Vegas or anything like that. But our family was doing a family trip to Reno, and I was working for Kelly Rosati at the time.
Oh, yeah.
And you remember Kelly Rosati.
Yeah.
And Kelly says to me, "Oh, we're opposed to gambling, so you cannot go into any of the casinos." And I said, "Well, what do you mean I can't go into the casinos?" And she goes, "I don't want a picture of you gambling to end up on somebody's, and then we're testifying against it. And then suddenly there's this picture of you." And so for several years after that, I did not go near any casinos. And then it suddenly occurred to me, you can be opposed to gambling.
Yeah.
And be opposed to gambling as it comes into the state of Hawaii. And there's only 2 states in the entire nation that has no form of legalized gambling.
What 2 states?
Hawaii and Utah.
That's right.
And why? So I can be opposed to gambling and all of the negative stuff that comes with it, and still like to go to Vegas and maybe go into a casino. But again, we're talking about the dangers that come with gambling. And as I'm saying that, I realize, Marcus, that not everybody can walk into a casino and just gamble $10 or $20.
Yeah. And that's where the problem, is for many people. And that's why this bill that we're going to hear about, learn more about, is troubling and very dangerous, opening Pandora's box. And as a Democrat, lifelong Democrat, I'm surprised that it's even gotten this far. But I would bet that it probably will not pass. It's a long shot.
All right, everybody, as you're listening to this, mark it on your calendar. Marcus Oshiro says
with
this
double
bill.
Odds. And I'll bet you $100 it will not pass. I'll give you $100 to your favorite charity, not yourself.
So it can't go to Hawaii Family Forum?
Well, your favorite charity, but not yourself, okay?
Okay, not myself. Okay.
$100.
You know what?
But that's social betting.
You know what? All right.
There's no house.
All right. I will take your bet, and we will give it to. So I'm going to make this a public announcement so that if it happens, $100 will go to a place for women right here in YPO.
Okay.
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 So. All right. So shake. All right.
Okay.
Okay. So last week on the show, we featured a floor speech by Representative Della Bellotti from Makiki. And she did an excellent floor speech. Well, I wanted to say that because we're talking now about gambling, there was another well-done floor speech by another Democrat on the bill we are referring to today. And the bill we're talking is HB, what is it, 18... What is the bill today that we're talking about? I'm sorry, 1308.
1308.
HB 1308 is the bill we're talking about. So on third reading for HB 1308, a freshman Democrat got up and did a floor speech.
Representative Andrew Garrett, first term, he got elected in 2024. He's a newbie from Manoa. He beat out an incumbent, Representative Kobayashi. That's in and of itself is extraordinary.
But you made a point that, I think our listeners and viewers should see. To have a freshman legislator get up and do a floor speech on a bill that is supported by a lot of other Democrats it's brave. It's brave.
Yeah. He also gets one of those those points. He gets 4 turtles, and This is a profile encourage moment.
Yeah. Okay, so 2 thumbs up. I'm giving him 2 thumbs up for his speech. And so let's listen to it. It's a short speech, but I think he did well done. So let's listen to Representative Andrew Garrett.
Representative Garrett,
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Rising in opposition.
please proceed.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise in opposition to the legalization of sports gambling as outlined in this bill. While proponents argue it could generate revenue for the state, the costs will far outweigh any potential benefits. Legalized sports gambling would open the door to a host of social and economic risks that could devastate individuals, families, and the overall well-being of our islands. Unfortunately, I have witnessed firsthand the destructive power of gambling addiction. A family member of mine struggled with it for years. What began as an occasional wager spiraled into a dangerous habit, one that drained their savings, strained family relationships, and led to a financial black hole that took years to get out of. The emotional toll was just as severe. The stress, broken trust, and desperation to win it back devastated not only that person, but everyone who loved them, and I wouldn't wish that pain upon anyone. Hawaii has been one of the few states to resist the spread of legalized gambling, and for good reason. We have prioritized protecting our communities over the promise of easy revenue. Studies show that gambling addiction skyrockets when access to betting is expanded, and sports gambling is particularly risky because it can be integrated into daily life. Unlike traditional casino gambling, where people must travel to a specific location, sports betting can be done in an instant from a smartphone, making it more accessible, more frequent, and ultimately more addictive. The toll of problem gambling is profound. Families are torn apart as loved ones sink deeper into addiction, resulting in financial ruin, debt, and even crime. Gambling addiction has been linked to higher rates of depression, domestic violence, and substance abuse. We must weigh any promises of revenue against the inevitable costs of addiction treatment, social services, and law enforcement. Moreover, as a sports official, I'm deeply concerned about the damage legalized sports gambling can inflict on the integrity of athletics. It increases the risk of game fixing and corruption, undermining the very essence of fair competition. Athletes, especially younger ones, could face immense pressure from gamblers, threatening the purity of sports as a genuine contest. Madam Speaker, once we allow the camel into the tent with sports gambling, casinos will not be far behind. Hawaii's cultures and values are indeed unique, and we must be cautious about policies that could harm our way of life. Rather than relying on gambling revenue, we should focus on sustainable economic strategies that uplift our communities without creating new social problems. The risks of legalized sports gambling are too great to ignore. Our priorities should be protecting our residents, preserving our values, and ensuring that Hawaii remains a place where families can thrive without the harmful effects of gambling. I've seen the devastation gambling addiction causes, and I don't want others in our community to endure the same pain. Madam Speaker, for these reasons, I stand firmly in opposition to this bill. Thank you.
Representative Garrett, I salute you.
Man, that is 4 turtles.
And you know what? He talked about the whole issue in 4 minutes.
Yeah.
And then he also said, here's what we should be doing instead.
Yes.
And I loved that because really, this is what they're doing, right? And Marcus, you were head of the finance committee back in the day.
Right.
So you know what that's like, right? They always are looking for ways to get more revenue in the state.
Right.
There's always different ways. But couldn't we get more revenue by just doing a simple thing like, and maybe this is too Republican for you, but how about we just balance the budget?
Well, we always balance the budget every 2 years.
Do we?
It's balanced.
Do we really balance the budget?
It is. You know, it is balanced. We can spend the entire show and a half on that, but it is balanced. So we do it. I mean, I've done it. So we produce a balanced budget every 2 years, every biennium, and they're doing it right now. But I think for Representative Garrett, what he did as a freshman, extraordinary, because he knew that he was coming against some of the more senior members in the caucus, who I consider maybe juniors and seniors and super seniors, right? The chair of the committee is, Judiciary Committee or the Finance Committee. That's Representative Yamashita, or Judiciary Committee is Representative Carl, not Carl Rose. That's the Judiciary Committee. Oh, David Tarnas. He's a veteran.
Tarnas. Yeah.
He's a veteran. I call him a retread because he actually entered politics with me back in 1994. He left for a while, raised a family, did some business dealings, but he came back. But shout out to you, Dave Tarnas from Big Island. Good man. My classmate, 1994.
Okay, I'm going to get all the email going. But he votes against us on all those bills. But it goes back to, I want this written on my tombstone. You can build relationship even with those with whom you disagree.
We're commanded, right?
You know what? It's easy to build relationship with someone who agrees with you and everything.
Right,
it requires a lot more
and
work
look at
when
us
they don't.
sitting here today. Can you believe
I
it?
know.
I didn't agree with you on a lot of things. Not,
Marcus, in the early days,
right?
I had this conversation with Dennis Arakaki. Remember Dennis Arakaki? And here's the thing. Okay. Once you're able to start building relationship and you start seeing into somebody's heart, and that's really what this is about. Representative Andrew Garrett, when he spoke, he talked about the dangers he saw in his own home.
Yeah.
So he was speaking from the heart. Representative Daniel Holt is the one pushing this bill.
Yeah. Yeah, and his intentions are in the right places. He sees the need for additional revenue sources. Mm-hmm. He sees the shortcomings we have in health and human services, education, higher education, and the environment. He sees, where the revenue trends are right now. He even sees the current anticipated federal cuts coming down from the federal government in the next 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. So he's anticipating that. So his heart is in the right place. But I think this is a long shot. This is a poor bet for Hawaii's future, any type of gambling. And I'm surprised that the Democratic Party of Hawaii has not weighed even stronger in opposition to this. But maybe next time you'll hear from several of the Democrat governors who are still around, and they certainly would have an opinion on this bill.
Well, I tell you what, I was watching the hearing, not the third reading hearing, but the last hearing. I think it was finance. And I was shocked at how much they don't know. Like, they're passing a bill that they have questions and no answers to them. DCCA, who actually just submitted comments, when they got up to talk at the end, you know how you guys call them up to ask them questions before they get to decision making? Basically, if I took what DCCA said in that portion, it's like, you cannot do this because it doesn't make any sense. Where you're saying the money's coming from, it doesn't make any sense to us. They asked the guy who, one of the it wasn't I forget the name of the group, but he represents one of those gambling interest groups.
Yeah. MGM Grand or Jeff
I
King's.
think that's MGM guy.
Yeah.
So they asked him, they said, so you're saying that we're going to have $10 million or whatever the amount was, right? That we're going to make. How are we getting that money? And then he explained that it's from the taxes, right? And so they said, but you said that it's 100 millions, that revenue. So who gets the rest of that? Yeah. And he said, the gamblers. And we're like, I sat there and I go, I'm a legislator. I would say, oh, so you're saying that you guys charge no money?
Yeah.
You're not going to make any money from this.
No.
So I went online and I looked up how much money these guys make. These guys are rolling in the money. And here's what people don't. And maybe this is too simple, but here's the way I look at it. I don't care how much revenue you have. I don't care if you've made 10 millions or 16 billion in revenue. That money has come from gamblers, period.
That's right. And it's based upon people's weakness.
Yes.
Some of them have mental issues. I mean, they got financial issues, and it creates this cascading effect upon themselves, their loved ones, their family, their children. Everyone gets sucked down.
Mm-hmm. And all you have to do is go to Vegas, go to Reno, and go to the areas right outside the casinos.
That's right.
And you see an unbelievable amount of poverty.
Even in these areas, such I think in Massachusetts, where they have this kind of online, cell phone, iPhones, smartphone gambling devices approvals, it's creating havoc up and down the state. There's more illegal gambling going on, not more legal gambling, more illegal gambling, more crime involved. And we don't want and we don't need that here.
That was the point that I liked that Representative Garrett talked about when he talked about it being on your smartphone. I mean, you're thinking about that you're actually sending people away with the actual very vehicle that could get them into trouble.
That's right. And it's open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Yeah. I mean, and we're already having a hell of a time getting people off of. I mean, I know that comedians talk about this all the time, but when I'm out to dinner, I look around and you've got people at the same table on their cell phones, not talking.
Oh, a family of 4, all of them have cell phones in their face.
Yeah. So I don't know. I just think that as Christians, as people of faith, we need to be concerned about this route.
And this is bad for everybody, believers and non-believers. This is
really
bad. Bad policy. No.
And on top of that, just thinking outside of your normal arguments, Hawaii to me is one of the most beautiful places in the world. Right? I love Hawaii. I will never leave Hawaii. And I know Jim Hochberg is watching this right now going, I'm in the free state of Florida. Well, I don't care. I'm in the beautiful state of Hawaii.
Yeah.
I don't want people to come here and be stuck in an air-conditioned room somewhere. I want them out on the beach. I want them climbing Haleakala. I want them going to shop in Waikiki and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That's what I want them to do. Yeah. I don't want them to be stuck gambling.
Money should go into a mom and pop, should be a local crafter, a pop-up, Ikeke market, pop-up someplace, but it shouldn't be going to a slot machine directly deposited to some mainland multinational corporation.
Yeah, and that's what's going to happen. That's
right.
The thing. And let's be brutally honest, Marcus. They're probably all haole people from the mainland. So the money isn't even going to stay in Hawaii. The bulk of it is going away.
People that probably call home the northern continent of the Americas.
Well, okay. Right. I mean, there might be some people that live here in Hawaii, but these big companies they're all mainland companies, and mainland politics will destroy Hawaii.
Yeah.
They just look at things differently, and I just don't want it here. And you know what? If it gets legalized here, you will not catch me going to any of these places. It's not going to.
Well, you're going to be next to me with the boycott signs walking in front of there. Okay.
Okay. Repent and be saved.
Well, I have a different message, but similar.
So I want to take a few minutes because you were the finance chair. If you were in that building today and you were looking at ways to bring funds into the state, what kind of things would you be looking at?
I think it's really a tough period right now, and I kind of feel for them because you don't know what the federal government is going to be doing in the next, maybe month or several months. So that's a big question there. You're looking at the global scene, whether or not there's going to be some inflation, recession coming into play because of all of the things going on with Canada, Mexico, China, European community. We don't know. So there's a lot of uncertainty. So they're scratching right now. I think you got to get back to the fundamentals of how to cut costs, how to be more efficient. And I think the efficiency thing will be driving itself primarily to AI. I think that genie is out of the bottle.
Oh, yeah.
And that's going to mean some displacement and the change of the labor force. That's going to occur no matter what.
Well, I remember just a couple years ago, I know it was just a couple years ago that Hawaii had this big surplus of money, right? And Governor Green was trying to figure out, what to do with this surplus. So I'm curious, where did that surplus go? Especially, I know that there are some questions with the social service organizations, right? Because of what's happening federally, whether there's going to be a cut in funding. But what happened to that surplus?
A lot of the surplus went to the largest tax cut in the state's history, both personal income tax, general excise tax for certain credits, certain groups. That was done, and that's going to be rolled out in the next 3 to 5 years. So there's going to be some impact locally for local families. It was a big tax cut. But the other side of the coin is less revenues for the state of Hawaii. And you still have needs in health, human services, education, community hospitals.
Well, plus you add in like the Lahaina fires and all the additional
those extraordinary,
right?
unexpected kind of disasters that need to be attended to. First priority is Lahaina, taking care of those people there. And then who knows what else is coming down the pipeline. So I think for the legislature right now, it's a tough call. If they can get through this session with a balanced budget, they'll do well.
Well, I have an outside of the box call to action. It's outside of the box, okay? And I know that there's some people are going to go, she's smoking that pakalolo or something. She's crazy. But here's what I think. rather than looking to the government to solve all of the financial crises that are out there for social service and all that, how about Christian organizations start looking at those wonderful ministries that are around them? And how about the church start giving to these ministries so that they're not hurt by any kind of federal cut on funding?
Wow, that's extraordinary. I think that was the idea they expressed maybe 2,000 plus years ago in the Book of Acts. I think New Testament stuff,
so.
right? New
It's
Testament, the Book of
old,
Acts.
right?
They're talking about the Book of Acts, and those are the guys who are going out there doing the evangelizing and taking care of the poor, the sick, the needy, right? They're the ones, the soup kitchens, the clothing drive, the housing drives.
We are a very small nonprofit. Hawaii Family Forum is extreme. I am the only staff member, right? So during legislative session, I always laugh when people go, well, why aren't you guys doing this, this, and this? And I'm thinking, wait, what do you mean you guys? You gal? What are you gal? What are you doing?
No, it's all of us.
But it's true. It's true. But here's my point. We've given money, like during the Lahaina fire, Hawaii Family Forum, out of our small little budget, gave to churches that we knew were doing the work.
Yeah.
We've donated money to all of the pregnancy resource centers here in the state of Hawaii.
Yeah.
Obviously not a lot, but we've done it. So I'm saying that rather than maybe, okay, don't shoot me. It's just an idea. But instead of having that big banquet where you're going to pay $20,000, $25,000, $30,000 to bring in a speaker, how about find the nearest ministry that's doing good work in the community and donate that money into the community?
I think most Americans, most people in Hawaii don't need another extra large, meal pack to take home. I think they can probably give it in cash to some needy cause out there in their community, in their backyard and their front yard. It's right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. We don't have to sit down in China. We're at the village in Waikiki.
Exactly. I mean, I'm not, again, I'm not saying that not to have any fun, right? I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying that right now in this economy, when there are many ministries that are screaming because they're worried about what's going to happen with federal cuts, maybe the church can do what the church is good at. The church is outstanding at this, right? When there was a need of schools, the church stood up and created schools. When there was need of hospitals, right? The church stood up and created hospitals. So how about while there are social service organizations struggling right now, find out the good ones and start donating some money.
Catholic Charities.
Catholic Charities is one of them. The pregnancy resource centers are always doing good work. They can always require good money. But it's not just that. First Assembly of God on Red Hill, they've got housing things. There's housing places on Allen side, West side, that could use fundings. It just takes a little bit of research to find out what's out there and maybe pour your money in that way. Because then when the ministries stay afloat, they stay afloat because we put our heart and our blood and our tears and our money into it rather than waiting for the government to come along and save them.
That's right. Yeah, we can do a lot ourselves.
Yeah, we could. All right, so that's important. So now going back to this gambling bill. so we have it on record.
Yeah.
That you say it's not going to pass.
$100.
$100 going to a place for win right here, right Waipio.
Yeah,
so I'm hoping now that it dies just so that they get that donation. But
wait. I'm betting that it's not going to pass.
Right. So if it doesn't pass, that means you win.
Yeah. It doesn't pass. You're passing. You're voting against me. That's going to pass.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Well,
you want to double down? I can double down because I can guarantee you.
Yeah. See, well,
I'm that assured. Come on, we've been around for a while.
You know what?
Eva, we've been around for a while.
And I kind of agree with you that it's not going to pass. So you're right. Hawaii Family Forum will add. So if it dies, a place for women in Waipio will get your 100, and then Hawaii Family Forum will donate $100 to one of the other pregnancy resource centers.
Obviously, you don't know how to gamble.
No, I don't know how to gamble.
But anyway, it's a deal. Here, it's a deal.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know how to gamble.
Yeah,
I definitely don't gamble that way.
Yeah. Okay.
How would it work if I did know how
That's
to gamble?
okay. We'll let the viewers comment on that.
The viewers are going to go, Eva, do not go to Vegas. Do not go to Vegas.
Wow,
That is funny. When I did go to Vegas the first time, a friend of mine said, this is why I'm definitely not good at gambling. He goes, all right, if this is your first time doing slot machines, you will win. Guaranteed.
Oh, yeah.
Because every time you gamble for the first time, he said, so I'm going to give you $100 in the dollar. I mean,
Oh,
the
dollars. Yeah.
And he goes, those coins, he
Yeah.
goes, you got to use the dollar machine
Yeah.
because you're going to win.
Yeah.
And he goes, all I'm asking is when you win big,
Yeah.
you give me back my $100,
Right.
right? I go there. I lost the
5
minutes. The whole thing was gone. And I'm like, oh my God. But I could see, again, we are talking about gambling. I could see how in that split second, you're like, you know what? If I just had another 100, maybe I could win that back and more. I started playing the penny machines after that because I was like, I'm not good at this, right? And so I was sitting in one of the penny machines and just doing the pennies. And one of the guys that was a friend of mine, he sat next to me chatting for a while. And it was a quarter machine. So he's going.
Yeah.
And then he leaves. And I had two quarters left in my wallet. So I go over and I put the 2 quarters in and the machine won.
Yeah.
And do you know, he came back and he goes, you got to pay me all the money I put in there. And he was arguing me. And because I felt bad, I gave him his money back. But gambling is not, I just don't want to see that happen here in the state of Hawaii.
No. Let's get a Trader Joe's here.
Oh, I would love a Trader Joe's.
Yeah.
Comment below. You guys want to, let's see the comments. Do we need a Trader Joe's in Hawaii? Put it in the comments and we'll talk about that. All right. In this last couple of minutes, Marcus, what are your takeaway thoughts on this issue?
I think it's a loser. It'll change Hawaii forever. And I think it's a terrible gamble, really, with people's lives and the future of Hawaii. So double thumbs down on gambling in Hawaii.
How would you, this might be a good way to end the show. If somebody has a legislator that is really in strong support of this, how do you recommend constituents talk to them? Like, what's the best way to talk to a legislator when you're on a completely opposite side?
Well, you give them a call. You just tell them you want to just share, your mana'o or your thoughts with your elected official. They do work for you. You select them every 2 years in the State House, every 4 years in the Senate. You be polite, you be cordial, you be succinct. You thank them for their service, but you let them know clearly that you oppose this measure and why. There's a lot of the costs that are going to be thrust into the public domain, the public sector. All the privates are retained by the corporation, mainland corporations now. We're not talking about local businesses. Right. These are all mainland offshore corporations.
Yeah. Now, if they end up voting against you anyway, what do you recommend as a follow-up?
Well, you can always ask them to explain their vote, and you can hold them accountable. You're not going to always have agreement 100% with any.
Does it work if you say we're going to vote you out of office?
Yeah, it doesn't really, because it's just a threat, and it angers people to be threatened like that. So better not say that. You can think that in your heart, in your head, but don't say that, please. That doesn't help your cause.
Yeah, I know it's hard because, as we've talked about before, people on the faith-based side of the aisle, they get very upset because they feel like they're not heard. And so a lot of times when they finally get the attention of a legislator, they get mad, right? I mean, they just kind of let them have it. And I understand that. It gets frustrating.
Yeah.
To not be heard. All right. Well, we appreciate that you spent your time with us today talking about gambling, and no comments in the cheap seats below in comments about Eva's non-ability to gamble. If you want to tease me, go ahead. I'm used to it. I've got some pretty hard skin. But we want to see you back next week. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, hit that notification button. Every time we upload a new video, you'll know about it. And we'll see you all next week. Mahalo, everybody.